Hi there, welcome back to Code Cycle Workshop. We're here again in the training suite to talk to you today about chain wear. So, have you ever heard the term that your chain has stretched? Maybe you've been in a bike shop and the mechanics have said, so your chain is stretched, you need a new one, or maybe a friend of yours has been looking at your bike and said your chain is stretched. What does that actually mean? What does that mean for the bike itself? So it's not that the material on the chain has suddenly become elastic and it's all got longer. It's that the pins and the rollers that join each link of chain together have worn slightly, and then multiplied by 116 links, the length of the chain. The net effect is that the whole thing has got longer. However, that's not really the important thing. The more important thing is that the distance between each pin, so the length of each link, or each half link actually, has got longer, very slightly. And if that wear is allowed to go too far, then various things can happen. Certainly one of the first things that you'll notice is that the shifting performance will be impaired. And that is more pronounced with the higher number of gears you have. So on an 11-speed or a 12-speed bike, it doesn't take much wear on the chain for that shifting to be kind of compromised. Down the lower end of things, with like a 6-speed or a 7-speed or something, you've got a lot more leeway. Okay. If the wear is allowed to continue to a great extent, what will happen is that the teeth on the cassette and the chain rings will also wear to match the shape of this worn chain. And then when you put a new chain on with the right length links, the teeth will just slip through the chain, which is when you get that kind of gear slipping feeling, as you put the pedals down and the chain jumps. And once it's got to that point, then not only do you need to change the chain, but you would need to change certainly the cassette or the freewheel, possibly the chain rings or the chain set as well. So by staying on top of how much wear is on the chain, certainly you can save yourself potentially quite a lot of money. So how do we find out whether a chain is worn or not? So really the simplest way to do that is to use a tool called a chain gauge or a chain wear indicator, and they come in varying sort of shapes and sizes. This is one by a company called Cyclo, okay, so that measures to 1% on that end and 0.75% on that end. Park Tool have one which works in a similar way, I'll show you in a second, and that measures 0.5% or 0.75%. This one is from a company called Junior, and you can actually find out exactly to what percentage the chain is worn by using this little dial on here. Okay, so I'm not going to show you that one because I've got a separate video about that one. That's a tool that we really like. So if you want to find out how to use that one, look up the Junior chain wear indicator video. But I will kind of show you how to use these ones. So the way that this works is we're going to select this end here and we're going to pop that in the chain there like that, and then we're going to see if that end falls all the way in to the chain, and it doesn't, so I can tell that my chain is not worn to 0.75%. Okay, so that's quite good. Okay, Park Tool have kind of different standards. So they say that if the chain is worn to 0.5%, then you would need to change it. So I'll try that now with this one. So I'll pop that end in there like that, and then try and drop that in, and does it fall in on 0.5%? Not quite. So that chain is still in relatively good condition. So if it did fall in at 0.5, that would mean that 0.5% of the material of the chain had worn away, and generally most manufacturers, they'll say once it reaches that point, then it should be changed. If it went down on 0.75, like that, the other end, so one end is 0.5, the other end is 0.75, then you need to change the chain, and you also need to, or certainly you would need to think about changing the cassette and possibly the chain rings as well. With this one, it measures to a slightly different standard, so it actually goes all the way up to 1%. So you can find out if your chain has worn by 1%. So why are there all these different kind of measurements? You know, if it's at 0.5, 0.75, it's 1%. What does all that mean? How do you know at what point you should change the chain? As in all things, there isn't really a black and white answer. So, as I said before, with the kind of the higher number of gears, so if you've got a bike, a 12-speed road bike or a 12-speed mountain bike or something, then SRAM will tell you that as soon as the chain reaches 0.5% wear, it's got to be changed. And certainly Shimano would recommend that as well. So we stick to that. Anything over 9 speed, 10, 11 or 12, as soon as the chain hits 5% or 0.5% wear, we'll change the chain, replace it with a new one. If it's approaching 0.75% in that instance, we would look to change the cassette, probably with the chain rings as well. As you come down the number of gears, at sort of 7, 8, 9, you'd be looking to change the chain probably at 0.5%. You might get away with it at 0.75%. It just kind of depends on the sort of matching of components that there is. But certainly if you've got 1% wear on that, then you'd need to change all of the two components. And that kind of goes down 5, 6, 7 speed as well. You probably wouldn't need to change the chain itself until 0.75, but certainly once it gets past 1%, then you really need to change all the two components there. So it's a little bit of a grey area, but I would say if you're running 10, 11 or 12, just take it to 0.5%. At that point, change your chain, and that way you can be sure that you're prolonging the life of all of your two components. So if you do have any questions about any of that, then by all means get in touch. Changing a chain and using chain wear indicators, measuring a chain to fit on a new bike once you get one out of the packet. Those are all tasks that we would teach you on our level 2 bike maintenance course, which is really geared to someone who's looking after bikes at home, a home mechanic if you like, and that is all about changing the consumable parts on your bike, so parts on the bike that are going to wear out, things like brake pads, chains, cables, that kind of thing. So if you had any questions about that and you fancy doing a course, go to our website, cardiffcycleworkshop.org.uk, or of course you can always give us a call. I hope you've enjoyed this clip, and we'll see you soon.